Hello, and welcome back to Myths, Magic, and Movies. And today we are talking with Jonathan Claiborne of the Carnival of Darkness Film Festival based out of Eastern North Carolina. And it's pretty interesting to me because I will be appearing on that panel in a few weeks where we'll be discussing horror and horror films. But before we dive in, remember to like, comment, subscribe. We're slowly growing our channel, and I see a few people out there checking us out. So if you can take it a step further and hit like and hit subscribe, that'd be great. But Jonathan, how are you doing today on this Monday afternoon, the first day of fall, by the way? This was not planned at all.
I'm fine. I hope you're well.
Yeah, and I'm really excited too because we had been discussing my appearance on the Carnival of Darkness panel for quite some time, but but I don't want to go too much into what it is because we do have an episode from a few months ago that that people can check out. And I'll put the link in the description below. What I'm curious about is what can we expect for this year's run of Carnival of Darkness? Like, what is there anything in particular that you guys are going to be focusing on this year? Is like a certain theme? I know. You've got me on the panel. You've also got Chris, who is a regular guest on the channel. I'm just curious as to what you've got planned or what you're allowed to tell us, on the show in terms of what we can expect for this year's Carnival of Darkness. I love the shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Well, we have a lot on our plate this year. We have approximately 50 volunteers working on the live performance aspects of it, the film screenings, the panels, a haunted history tour with actors, live bands, a raffle. All kinds of things are going on within this event, which, as we've said before, also takes place alongside Smoke on the Water, the barbecue festival that is one of the largest events in downtown Washington. So specific to films, this year, we're doing things much as we have before, but of course, everything's new in terms of the content. We received this year approximately, I think, 228 films and screenplays from something like 35 or 6 countries, if I recall correctly. And our judges have spent months parsing through all that material. Now that the entry period is over, we are making our selections for our screenings, and we're going to honor certain screenplays as well. So it's such a multifaceted event. There's so much going on within it. It's hard to know where to focus. The film panel we're excited about because we're excited about all of it, but this is something that we're reinventing with your guidance and others, because we've done film panels before, but we're going a bit more in depth with this one. And we're going to talk about horror films and the influence they've had on other genres, which was one of the things you recommended. And we're also going to talk about horror films that we love and why we love them. And we're going to do a Q&A, and we hope that some filmmakers whose work is featured in the festival will be able to join us as well, depending on their schedules. So there's a lot that goes into this event. It does take almost a year to plan it and put it together, from the end of the previous Carnival of Darkness until this one. And this is our 7th year. So we've learned a lot.
It's kind of like that old saying, next Christmas starts on December 26th. So how exactly do you manage to direct all these moving parts? Because you're not just doing one thing like film. You're handling all sorts of different aspects. Is it you who's mainly overseeing the whole operation, or do you mainly just put yourself in charge of one aspect and then everybody kind of coordinates as they go along? How does that work?
That's pretty much how it works, the latter. We have a board for our nonprofit, Alternative Stage. We operate under the umbrella of Alternative Stage as Haunted Pamlico. And our board members are fantastic, and they all take on a great deal of responsibility. Our president is Lou Valenti, and he oversees a lot of things. I direct or co-direct certain aspects of it. But in addition to all of this, we have other programming going on throughout the month of October. We are participating in a haunted trail for charity. We're doing a short play under the auspices of the Eastern North Carolina Village and Farm Museum in Greenville. And we're doing Monsters on Main, which is an event that has been going on almost 20 years on East Main Street in Washington. So we have to have multiple directors, multiple coordinators, committee heads, subcommittees. Without organization, none of it would work. And Carnival of Darkness is our marquee event, our biggest event in some ways, although Monsters on Main draws about 700 people on Halloween night. Carnival of Darkness reaches across the world to filmmakers and screenwriters and people who can't join us physically, but participate through sending us their work. So yes, it is very much a team effort because it's more than 1 or even 10 people could do.
I imagine too, because from the way you're describing it, it's not just the film festival and that's it, or it's just the haunted trail and that's it. It's sort of like an integrated, I guess you could say a Halloween ecosystem, and it's not something that's just confined to 1 week or 1 weekend. It's like a month. I'm assuming it's like a month-wide thing, right?
Oh yes, from the first weekend of October, when we'll be represented at the Halloween International Film Festival in Manteo. We're a co-sponsor of that, and we've been friends with the organizers of it for a long time. From then until mid-November, we will be involved in what we call haunt season or Halloween programming. So there's a haunted trail in Aurora, North Carolina, in eastern Beaufort County. We'll be involved with that in November. So it is, we call October Hell Month.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can imagine why. So it's a bit of a double entendre too when you think about it. So I want to shift gears to the film festival aspect. So you've gotten a lot of entries and you've been going through all these entries just to see which ones are going to be are going to be the ones that you show at the festival. When does that start exactly? Because I'm assuming it starts way before October. I'm guessing like late springtime, early summer ish.
Yes. The entry period opens on May 1st and closes September 1st. So we're watching films, we're reading scripts from that time until even after the closure of the entry period. September 20th is usually our selection deadline. And by that time, our category judges and our main judges should have gotten together on the selections and decided what we're going to be able to show. There's a scoring system that we use that I won't go into because it's top secret.
Yeah.
We aggregate the scores and select films on that basis. And sometimes the overall judges have to override the category judge because of programming considerations, time limitations, whatever it may be.
All right.
Or themes that are too closely related thematically or whatever. So it can be a very intricate process and it goes on for months. And we're actually still working on some of the screenplays because we had so many this year. And this is September 22nd, but we'll have all those done by midweek. So it consumes all of us for months on end. Last year, I think we had 18 judges working on this. We have fewer than that this year. So it's more labor for a smaller group of people.
So does running the festival get more and more labor intensive with each passing year, or because your guys are adding on more elements, or does it get easier because you guys know what to do and what to expect?
I think both those things are true. It gets easier in some ways and harder in others. Last year we had 250 entries, considerably more than we had this year, but we didn't promote the entry period as heavily this time. And so I think we had fewer entries this time, but we had something we noticed was that the short films are getting longer. Whereas most short films would have been 5 or 10 minutes a few years ago, now they can be 15 to 20 minutes. so that it takes longer to go through the entries. And um, I think it's good to stay on your toes and reinvent yourself every year, turn things upside down, do things differently, do away with categories that aren't working, or come up with a new event within the event. So we like the challenge, and it's there's a learning curve every year. So we know what we're doing, but we kind of get a little bit better at it each time.
Right, because because each year, but by the time you close up the last day, you just think to yourself, "Woo, that's over." But you also feel you feel like you've conquered something big, like climbing Mount Everest. But then there's also this sort of, I mean, I guess it's sort of need to kind of prove that you can do much better, so you kind of make it a bit more ambitious, the following year. Is that true in your case?
Yes. For instance, last year we added a screenplay review category, which requires us to write uh, detailed analyses of every screenplay in that category. And this year, those reviews amounted to about 91,000 words.
Oh, good Lord.
So, yeah. And that took months of off and on labor. But it's worth it to us because we want to be of service to the people who enter that category and let them know what we think works and doesn't work about their screenplays.
Mm-hmm.
And we've received a lot of positive feedback about that, even from people whose work we didn't select, but happened to review, but didn't make a winner or an official selection or a finalist or anything like that. So we like to say that this is a film festival for filmmakers by filmmakers,
Right.
filmmakers, but people who understand independent filmmaking and the difficulties of it. And that leads me to another point that I like to make,
Mm-hmm.
and that is that we can never honor everything that we like. There just isn't enough time, and there aren't enough honors available to really recognize everything that's worthy of recognition.
Right, and that kind of makes it kind of difficult because because one person may find something that they like, but but if it doesn't get enough votes, it kind of gets, I don't want to say tossed, but it kind of gets put to the wayside, right? And that can be kind of difficult because sometimes you kind of feel like I'm the only person who appreciates this, but I also like to think that these filmmakers who've submitted their works to other festivals, in the past, they'll have the maturity to know that some people will understand my work and some people won't, and that's just the way it works. So in terms of the film festival, do you guys follow like themes or anything? So like, is 2025 like body horror, for instance, or is it more of just like anything goes kind of situation every year?
It's pretty wide open. I mean, we have very specific categories that people can enter, like a
Okay.
horror comedy category or a short category, things like that.
Mhm.
But we do notice certain themes emerging in the film sort of organically. For instance, after the pandemic began, in the succeeding 2 or 3 years, we got a lot of films about contagion and the breakdown of society, and we saw those themes being echoed and reflected, heard them being reflected, echoed in a lot of the work we received.
Mhm.
And so we see things emerging. We don't really create a theme for the films or the kind of films we're going to show, because we just want the best work we can get and present to our audience and what works for our festival,
Right.
the time that we have. But certain themes do present themselves. I'm trying to think of what we've seen this year, recurring themes that might have come about sort of coincidentally in various films, and I can't think of one at the moment, but there was something I was aware of that I saw quite a bit of this year. Oh, well, here it is.
Mhm.
Um, Concerns about technology.
Right.
and the impact that that's having on our lives, social media and that kind of. You see a lot of that in the past couple of years, and we've seen that for some time, but we're seeing more of that now. So it's kind of a barometer, I think, in a way, of what a lot of people are thinking about and afraid of. And as we always say, the hopes, dreams, and nightmares of the world come to us through Carnival of Darkness.
And that's a very good point, because because with the pandemic, obviously people were still in fear of getting sick and dying, or especially now people are worried that AI is going to take over and take over people's jobs. um I know you mentioned this already, but when it comes to themes, like, do you tend to just select movies based on the sort of this organically conjured up theme that you're seeing throughout these movies, or is it just one of those things where it's like, well, maybe we take a movie that deals with AI and kind of pair it with a movie that's about tyranny, and then a movie about the police state or something like that? Does that make any sense? Because rather than just have like a slate that focuses on one universal concern, right? You kind of have like a mixed bag of like different themes or different story elements that kind of speak to the various fears that that different people in the audience might experience, not just a universal theme that everybody should or is afraid of, like technology, for example.
We have linked things thematically. We've run things by category, and uh, we've tried all kinds of different things. This year, it's since we're still parsing through some things, it's hard to tell exactly what we're going to do. Although I have some ideas, but yeah, we've tried a little bit of everything. And the thing about a film festival is, especially one that's going to run all day or 2 days or whatever it may be,
Mhm.
most people are going to come for a short time, watch the movies a while, and then go. They're not going to stay there all day. They may come and go, they may come back, but very few people are just going to stay the whole day and get a sense of whether there is some connection between film A and film B. And so that's one of the reasons why we have so much other entertainment going on around the festival, to keep them there longer, to draw more people in, which helps put more focus on the films
Mhm.
and everything else as well. But so we kind of keep in mind that even though sometimes we may have a certain pattern that people could discern, we also know that a lot of folks are going to come and go throughout the day. And
Right.
at any given time, there may be X number of people in the theater, and then more or less people outside. So it's just, a lot of it depends in terms of programming. The biggest pressure we face really is time. How much time do we have to show, say, a feature-length film, and a handful of short films in this block? So that ends up being the biggest challenge for anything that we want to do.
Mhm.
Even if we want to link things by category or theme, like show all the sci-fi films in one block, which we often do,
Yeah.
time may get in the way, and then something may get bumped or moved to another screening date because we have a supplemental screening that we do, which is smaller, after the main festival. So there's just so much that goes into it. It's really hard to say what it's going to be like from year to year.
Yeah. Gotcha. Just because everything is changing, so that I totally get that. Now you did mention that you guys don't just do a film festival. You have other events and other attractions to kind of keep people interested and keep them entertained at these events. Um, I know that Chris Stonnell is going to be there with Postmortem Players. Can you talk a little bit about what these guys are going to be doing? Because I know this is a first for you this year, and a first for them too, because they're going to be performing in that part of the state too.
Yes, they're coming from the Charlotte area, and our nonprofit has booked some hotel rooms for them, and we're going to feed them backstage, and we're thrilled to have them come perform as part of what we call Horror Show 5, which is our live variety show that opens Carnival of Darkness on Friday, October 17th. We're going to have some musical acts booked into that. We're going to have a dance team, scare actors, all kinds of things. And Postmortem goes on stage during that event, during that part of the event. And then after all of that is said and done, we're going to bow off and premiere a locally produced film, which Haunted Pamlico co-produced, called The Light at Pactolus, which is about the infamous Pactolus ghost light in Pitt County, neighboring.
That's right. That's right. You did talk about that last time. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's going to be a big night. And then Chris is going to stay over Saturday and be part of our film panel. And we are thrilled about it. It's a massive undertaking for everybody concerned. And we're really hoping we get a good crowd to come out and see all this, experience all this. There will be a haunted house experience as people are coming in. There will be craft vendors and costume vendors there, karaoke on Saturday, just all kinds of things for about every Halloween taste.
That's really, really exciting, and I was really happy to hear that you guys actually booked Chris and Postmortem players, because they're really interested in. It's a really interesting concept to take something that's based from the Grand Guignol and kind of bring it here, to the southern part of the United States, because it's not something that's ever been experimented, at least here in North Carolina. Have you and Chris talked a bit much about going much further, after Carnival of Darkness, or is it kind of just one of those things where it's like, well, we just want to go ahead and get this taken care of first, and then we'll wait and see afterwards?
Well, I mean, if they enjoy themselves and the audience enjoys itself and we're all having a good time, I mean, we would very possibly look at doing something like this again. We have a live show every year to open Carnival of Darkness. And so we've seen some of their work online, and we know that there's going to be some music, original music, and different things that they're bringing in. So I'm sure we would love to work with them again. We're delighted that somebody else out there is doing what we do, and even in a more consistent way from a theatrical perspective, because Alternative Stage, our nonprofit, does non-spooky things as well, but they're all about horror theater, and we love that. So yeah, we're delighted that you hooked them up with us, or us with them. Appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, just because of the work that you guys do, I figured, you guys kind of you guys are pretty much joined at the hip at this point. I just feel like, Jonathan and Chris do need to know each other because they pretty much share the same interest. I do want to be respectful of your time, just because I know you guys have a few more weeks to go, and when it comes to film festivals, you can never have enough time to get anything done. But before we conclude here, I do want to touch on the panel really quickly. So this year it's me, Chris is on there, and you've got Todd. Can you just go a little bit into what sort of theme or expectations or sort of discussion you're planning on having come October 18th?
Well, sure. We're going to talk about horror films, of course, and maybe show some clips. But the most interesting part will be the discussion and the Q&A, which you will join virtually. And the other gentlemen, including Todd Bagley, a local filmmaker, will be a part of. And per your suggestion, we're going to sort of link all of this up to the influence of the horror genre, particularly in films, but in other media as well, on other genres, which I think is a really novel way of looking at this stuff. We won't give too much away at this point. But a fascinating discussion, and it's going to take up about an hour on Saturday, October 18th, in the main gallery of the Turnage, while the films are playing, while the Haunted History Tour is going on outside, and the vendors are there. So there's going to be a lot going on around us, but we hope that people will come and not just listen to, but engage in this discussion, which may go into other areas as well, and including, as I've said, what our favorite horror films are and why, which is a standard question. Um,
it wouldn't be a horror film festival without that question,
oh yeah, and well, the answers can be surprising, and the reasons for them can be surprising. So I think folks will learn something from this, and we do help on occasion teach the film class portion of an acting class at the community college. So we feel that this is kind of an extension of that from what we help with through BPAC at Beaufort County Community College, and sort of bringing an element of that into Carnival of Darkness so that people can learn from this experience. And so I think it's going to be quite interesting.
Yeah, and I was going to say, I won't give too much away about what I want to discuss, but I will say the thing that I suggested to you earlier this year. The first episode is going to air at the end of October, because it's going to be a 3-part episode. But I'm really, really excited about talking about what my thoughts are, what my perspective is, and how how not even horror itself, but the Gothic imagery kind of imprints itself on different genres. It's not just relegated to Nightmare on Elm Street or Camp Crystal or anything like that. Jonathan, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on this episode. And I really, really look forward to the panel, and I really, really look forward to having you back on as soon as possible, because I love having these discussions with you. And I actually have a lot of episodes planned in the future. I would love to get your take and see if you'd be interested in coming on for these discussions.
Okay, it would be my pleasure.
Excellent. Well, listen, I just want to thank everybody for taking the time to watch us. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and check us out on different podcasting platforms. I know I'm a little bit behind, but I will make sure we get these episodes up there. And as always, thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you in the next one.